How to best protect children in the family battles. A conversation with psychologist Monika Perkowska. This is our topic for today.
Welcome to the Lawyers and Mediators International Show and Podcast by InstantMediations.com, where we discuss law and conflict resolution topics to educate both professionals and everyday people. Catch regular episodes on YouTube, the Instant Mediations app, and anywhere you get your podcasts. Just remember, nothing in these episodes constitutes legal advice, so be sure to talk to a lawyer, as cases are fact dependent.
Hello and welcome. My name is Natalia advocate, mediator, and arbitrator from Warsaw, Poland.
Hi, everyone. This is Mac Natalia, attorney, mediator, arbitrator, working throughout Florida and Texas.
And it is our great pleasure today to welcome for the first time and hoping to have a series with a very renowned psychologist, Monika Perkowska, who is the author of a safe relationship method that she used and worked upon herself, and also is sharing now with other professionals, certifying them upon this method. This method ensures that children are protected. This method ensures that the children are being given the best possible conditions to grow and to work. What we are now sharing on the screen for those who watch is Monika's website, which is monikaperkowska.com. And those who are just listening, that would be great if you just go to our YouTube channel and find the video to see how beautiful the website is and how lovely it will be to just see what the safe relationship method is about. This is why we chose the topic for today, and the topic for today is how to best protect children in the family battles. I think that many parents ask themselves these questions if they want to be wise when they are facing difficult situations in their families. Monika, please first say something about yourself, and then I'll be happy to start asking you questions.
Thank you for your invitation. I'm so happy to be here with you and talk about what is important for children. I'm a psychologist and psychotherapist. I'm working with children, teenagers, and families. And every day I meet children who face the fact that their parents are no longer together. And this is, I think, a great opportunity to be able to say what divorce is for children.
Thank you so much for that. So, if you are meeting the parent for the first time and the parent says, "Oh, I'm considering a divorce," what it would be your first tip that you would give to such parent? What is it? You're considering divorce. Your tip for a parent considering divorce.
So, for me, when I think about protecting children in family battles, what is the most important thing? The most important is to remember that your child, is not an adult person with, mature adult personality. And we need to remember that it's not only, but it is a child. And it is the parents who have discussions and battles among themselves and should not involve their children. And it's for me, it's the most important tip for them. You should not involve your child when you have a lot of arguments, and it would be you should remember that it would be so harmful to the mental health of children when they see their parents struggling or they were involved in arguments.
Yeah, thank you, Monica. Welcome to the show. We really appreciate you being here. And first off, I gotta say your English is spectacular. Okay, because we were talking backstage about English is not your native language, right? But you've learned it and you are perfect in it.
Thank
So anybody who wants your services, whether it's in Polish or English, they have somebody they can get to. So this topic is a universal topic, right? I am working in Texas mainly as an attorney, as a family law attorney, and I deal with custody cases and divorcing parties all the time. And so, yes, I too see what you guys were echoing. A lot of children being placed in the middle sometimes. And so Natalia's question was a good one. Well, what's the first tip to a divorcing party. So let me follow up on that. So after a person hears, hey, don't put the child in the middle. A child needs to be a child first because they're not an adult and they can't comprehend what's happening to them. After that step, do you really believe that most parents actually listen to that advice? Do they? Or what are some things you do in your professional experience or can be done to help parents actually think about this and take this seriously? Because far too many times, what I see is it goes in one ear, out the other, because the emotions get involved, because the power struggles between parents get involved. So, what are your tips on actually getting people to take this very seriously and not cause damage to their children?
I work used psychotherapy, and I have a lot of patients, and they have a big problem with emotion, their parents' emotions. And when in situation where the child would see a lot of difficult emotions in the parent, example, the parent would tell the child about his suffering or would have a lot of fear, and it could be harmful for child because we should avoid some parentification. It is a psychological definition. Parentification is the situation when in which a child has no space for him or herself, and in own family, because he or she has to deal with comforting mom or dad, and it is so harmful, and it could cause depression, and this child may experience depression after that because, whoa, I don't have space in this family. Where is my space? I'm a child. I have a lot of things to do in this family. Take care of me. So it is like a scream of your child. And for me, as I work as psychotherapist, is the most important thing. Avoid parentification.
Yes, that word parentification, I've never heard that before, but that's an interesting concept. I can see why it can cause harm to a child where they don't have any space for themselves. Thank you.
And I want to say that I also believe that what happens, we are like shifting duties within the family. Normally, the parents should be responsible for the comfort of their children. They should be the one who are providing safety. However, what you have just described causes that the children become the parents. They need to be taking care of their parents so that they don't cry, so that they don't shout, so that they don't escape from home. And I believe, and I've seen it many times. Or please tell me how what the psychologist's view on that is. Children then are like they are first scared, but then also feel guilty for what's happening. And that later on causes them to be premature. A lot of parents come to me and they're proud of their children, that they're so mature, they can talk about everything with them. And I am terrified because that shouldn't be the case if we're talking about a 7-year old child. What does psychology say about that, about this
It is
prematurity?
it is about parentification. So you can see that your child is a little adult. It's a premature. It is harmful. You don't have space for your child because you are unreal with your emotion as a parent. You have a lot of things to do with yourself. For example, you can go to the therapy, your own therapy, that you need to be health person, mental health person for your adult person, for your child. You know, children are guilty. They can feel guilty because of course, they don't have space for them. But when they have a lot of responsibility, adult responsibility, they don't have a lot of strength for them, for play, for good time with friends. And I think this parentification is, the first thing what I think in my mind when I see children that they are struggling with parents' divorce.
I see. Monica, I would like to share your website and have you talk a little bit about safe relationship, which is a method that you've developed. Could you talk to us a little bit about what safe relationship is when it comes to psychotherapy?
This is my own originally safe relationship method, psychotherapy method. I work with children and families, and of course teenagers. And for me, the most important thing in my office is to make that children will be safe there, because they don't have a lot of safety space in their lives. I think, of course, about emotional lives, and for me, it's the most important thing that I have to use some techniques, or I have to use some structure during a psychotherapy process that will the child, and of course children and their parents will be safe in this office. And this is the first step to be closer with your emotional life.
Thank you for that. And when it comes to safe relationship, I understand that is first of all creating the safe environment. But what about then creating the safe environment within families? Are you able to help parents who bring their children to you, or families who come together to create this safe environment within their families? Is it possible?
Yes, it's possible, but what we need to be together with this situation, and be close to the child, and close to the child's um, abilities. When what can we do? I can help and tell parents how to communicate with the other parent during co-parenting, for example. And it is a lot of topics what we should, or some parents need to talk. And they have sometimes anxiety about divorce, about future children, future life. And I think it's a good way to help children to consult some fears.
Yes, but Monica, please inform us. I mean, this conversation could go a million different ways. We could talk about how grandparents or other relatives impact all this. We could talk about children's outcry and how parents should respond if the child is endangered. Give the audience a little bit more about what you see, and then what some common tips are to help children in these family battles.
Mm, when I think, for example, about communication, what I would like to emphasize very much is the fact that parents should communicate with each other about the mothers of the child, and not with children, with each other. It's very important. And if they find it hard to just talk or write to each other, they can ask a mediator for help, of course. And it is important that mom and dad set specific rules and try to follow them. And it is only topic for parents, not for children. And this makes communication, I think, very easy when they can use, for example, mediation. And I think that the problem of poor communication is also a problem with respect, with emotions related to the separation process. And it is worth working on it, for example, during your own therapy. And a typical example of children difficulties is when they hear unpleasant messages about their parents from anyone else, or from mom, from dad. And this is so harmful. And these unpleasant messages could be from grandparents too, or aunt, or cousins, or something like that, and some other person. And I think that children need some adult person who are in good emotional condition. And of course, I understand now you have some divorce process and it is so harmful to you as a parent, as an adult person, but you can organize some space for your child with other adult person. For example, it could be teacher, trainer, coach, psychotherapist, but children need healthy person.
Thank you for that. And I do believe that I also have two more questions regarding that. First of all, what do you think about a situation where a parent has a need to inform the child about their version of the story? So they take the child and they need to speak to them how it was, how their mom was, or how it all went, or how it happened that someone found another person. And a variation of that, which I just that just takes my breath away when I hear that, showing the children the documents of the case or the evidence that was gathered in the case or the text messages they found. What do you think about that? Should the
And
parents be doing this?
and before you answer that great question, I also want to ask, how do you balance that when parents put that in front of children with the child's desire and need to know and get information? Because sometimes it's the child who asks the parent, "Hey, what happened?" And the parent's like, do I say or do I not?" So, big question.
So the first thing that comes to my mind is that the parents should tell their child about the breakup together in a joint conversation for which they will prepare in advance. You need to think about it earlier. And it is no, it is their joint decision and they should tell the child about it together. And when should they say, especially for me, is the most important thing, that when the decision is for 100% sure. It is so important. And what you can say, what are we saying in this situation? Necessary information, necessary for child, not for us, not for my emotional cases. It's only about the child. So necessary information, example, that we will always remain parents and look after the child, that it is our responsibility, that we have decided together that we do not want to live together as adult person. We also talk about who the child will live with, what her life will be like. So it's only necessary information, and it's important that we have a lot of this planned earlier. And if we do not have, because we did not use mediation, we tell the child that the court will now decide on various matters, and the child must know that decisions are made by adults, so that they do not have to make decisions that are too difficult for them.
Awesome. Well, this has been very insightful. And as always, anything that deals with children and their protection, something we always want to hear more about. So we definitely are inviting you to come back and speak on more topics that impact kids and more about your safe relationship method. Okay. Um, I guess with that, is there anything else that you want to leave the audience with that you believe is really important that people need to know before we wrap up?
Oh, when I think about family, extended family like grandparents, I want to say that when people in the extended family ask a child about the parents' conflict too much, they are all the time, they are asking all the time, the child may feel overwhelmed. And it is so important that we need to have our children in space, in safe space, and I think that's it. You need to have safe space for your child.
And I think that in between the lines, you've just explained why a psychologist's office at a therapy or even regular meetings with psychologists, which are not really a therapy, but this safe space where the child can deal with emotions, when the child cannot finally can feel that it is not being played by one parent against another. When the child does not feel that I have a duty against my mom and a duty against my dad, and I am conflicting these duties. So what do I do? A psychologist, or that would be ideally someone also within the family who is not engaged in the conflict, an adult would create a safe space where children can really just like lift or disload this enormous burden which any separation, any divorce, any conflict between the parents puts on them. So thank you so much
That's
for all
right.
the insights about how to protect children in family battles. We definitely want to learn more. And with that, we're signing off.
All right. Until next time.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I hope this information can be helpful for parents.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Take care.